company or you'll start something on your own. So in that, in your field, whatever things you are doing, let's say you're working in a laboratory or doing some research, so the activity that you are engaging yourself into, where you are engaging all of your senses, right, five senses, you are learning a lot, about 80%. And the last is you remember or learn much better, 95%, when you teach something to other people. You know, if you are a college student or working and you are going to explain a new concept or method to somebody else, your friend, then what happens is when you are asked to teach something to other people, then confidence, then only you can go and teach somebody else. So that's why the higher rate of retention or remembering is 95% when we teach other people. So I encourage all of you to participate. You know, you can also unmute yourself whenever I ask questions or I open up any topic for any comments or sharings. Because see, more you participate, more you are going to learn from yourself and from other people. And more you learn, there is a high likelihood that you will implement the new methods or new concepts or tools in your life or career. And when you implement something new, there is a good chance that you are going to get results, you know, desirable results. So this is just a quick background. And in today's webinar, we are going to discuss about stress management, and you're going to get these different things. You're going to get a clear understanding of what stress is. You're going to get a specific special NLP concept I'll be sharing with you. After that, you are going to identify your sources for your stress or triggers for your stress. After that, I'm going to give you 10 strategies to reduce and manage your stress. After that, we are going to quickly lastly, participants in this webinar who are going to interact the most, I have a special surprise gift for all those people. So pay attention to everything that we are discussing here. So very firstly, let me ask you one question. Whenever you hear this word stress, you know, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Now, you don't need to think about it or anything, but whatever comes to your mind first, what is that? If anybody would like to share, you know, you can unmute yourself or you can quickly type in the chat window. When you hear the word stress, you know, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Hello.
So here, participant Vaishnavi, she says pressure. Okay, yeah, that's true. Anything else? Just quickly type in what you think comes to your mind. Onkar says problematic situation. Yes, that is correct, Onkar. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the answers,
Hello.
Vaishnavi and Omkar. Uh, yes, anybody else wants to share?
So stress is physical and mentally tension, like situation.
Correct, correct. Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And
Okay.
so let's quickly see what this can mean. So stress can be basically a feeling of discomfort experienced by each and every cell of our body. This is one way to look at it. Another way to look at it can be it is our body's reaction to situations that are harmful, dangerous, threatening, or it can be exciting, challenging also. Now, the important thing to note here is that the danger or the threatening situation can be real or can be just perceived as a threat. It is not real, but if somebody perceives this as a dangerous situation, then there are some automatic physiological, biological processes that go on inside our body to prepare ourselves for that situation. So that is the second way of looking at it. Now, third way of looking at it is all of us, all human beings, We have certain resources with us, our body, our mind, the time available to us. It is all resources available to us. So when the supply of resources, right, our body, mind, time, is less than the demands that are placed on us, we feel stressed. For example, let's say you are a college student or you are a working professional, and you have three deadlines in next 3 days, and you're thinking, oh, these are the three deadlines I have, and I don't have enough time to complete these things. So automatically what happens is you compare the demand with your supply, and if the supply is short, then you start feeling stress. That is a natural thing that happens, and we are going to learn how to control and manage that. So this is another way of looking at stress. Now, next perspective is stress is an experience that is here to tell us that there is something wrong and there is something that we need to change, right? Because if you are feeling uncomfortable, then that means there is something you still don't know yet. You may not know some knowledge, you may not know some skills, you may not have developed certain abilities. So that is the next point. So in that case, stressful situation is actually has actually becomes an opportunity to learn something new, new methods, new tools, and to grow yourself. So we looked at briefly what is stress. Now, in today's topic, what is stress management? So stress management is simply a process that we use to manage our own stress or to manage our own internal mental state, right? Our emotional state. Now, stress management always has two different parts. The first part is stress prevention. How can we prevent a stressful situation? That is first. And the second part is how can we manage stress? How can we reduce it when we are already in a stressful situation? Now, in an ideal world, we all would have liked, we all would have loved to have a situation where you can do many things and you can just prevent stress. But in reality, that doesn't happen. You can prevent stress from to a certain extent, but you are going to face, we all are going to face certain situations where we will be in that situation, and we will need to learn how to cope up with those. So we are going to do that today. So to understand this concept a little better, I'm just going to give you a quick example, right? So wherever you are and you are watching and listening to this webinar, if it is possible for you, I would like if you have a textbook in your hand and you're holding it with your both of hands in front of you like this, just below your eyes, just like that. You're holding this textbook in your hand. If possible, I would like all of you to close your eyes and imagine you're holding that book in your hands, right? So, and I'm going to tell you when to actually keep that book back onto the table or desk, right? So if you keep holding that book for 1 minute, what's going to happen? If you hold it for 1 minute like this, you may feel just a little bit of pain, nothing else. No big deal. Nothing major. But if I ask you to hold that book for 1 hour straight, just like that, what's going to happen? If you hold it for 1 hour, like right 60 minutes, then you'll start to feel pain in both of your arms and hands, right? So now, if you continue to hold that book with your both of your hands for one whole day, that is 24 hours. So in that situation, think about what's going to happen. So you're going to feel a lot of pain in your hands, and our hands may get paralyzed. So this example is just to illustrate the concept of what exactly we do when we are in a stressful situation, right? So the stress in our life is exactly like that book or the object, right? So if I am in a stressful situation for 1 2 minutes and I'm able to just let it go and move on and focus on something else, then it's not going to affect me. If I keep thinking about that experience, about that stress for 1 hour, it's going to start to affect me negatively to certain extent, not a lot. But if I continue to have those negative thoughts or stressful situations affect me for 1 day, 2 days, 7 days, 1 month, then it's going to have a big impact on my performance, on my stress is exactly like that object or book, right? It depends on the longer we carry that on, heavier it becomes in our life. So let me ask you this question. What is the best way to let go of this stress? Right? So we saw this example of book. In the case of the book, it's easy to just let it go, keep the book on the table and it's gone, right? So in our life, what we need to do is that when we say we just need to let it go, that means we need to take proper breaks from our day, from our daily schedule. Okay, so our body and mind can relax and is ready and fresh to do the next set of activities. So that means we need to take good rest and relaxation for proper stress management. So from our childhood, we are learning many skills and abilities, right? In our school, technical skills, non-technical skills. Stress management is also an ability that we need to get knowledge about and we need to learn the methods on how to do it. So next, I would like to share with you a quick video. Let me share. So Praveen sir, can you see the video, YouTube video I'm playing?
Yeah, yes, I can see the screen.
Okay.
The voice is not coming, sir.
Sorry, Praveen sir, did you say something?
Voice, there is no voice.
Oh, there is no voice. Okay, okay. Hang on 1 second.
Your screen sharing was is there voice now, Praveen sir?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Is there voice or no volume still?
uh, the voice is coming by slow.
It's low. Okay, okay. It's okay. I will just play it.
Yeah, yeah, just
There is. Yeah, we'll just play that. Okay. All right. So let me come back to the presentation. Okay. Can all of you, Praveen says, see my screen?
Yes, yes, I can see the screen.
Okay. Okay.
So was the audio a little bit better next second time?
No, actually, I think the video was slow, so the sound was coming,
Okay.
little bit slow and late.
Okay, okay. But the video quality
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it okay or
it was fine. Yes,
okay? So you, okay, okay. So you could read the text
text.
in the
Yeah,
video also.
videos. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Great. So I hope all of you can also got the chance to watch the video. So I would like to ask you, what did you see as the highlight of that video, or what did you learn from this video? What are your top two learnings from this video? If you are able to, if you were able to watch this video carefully, properly, you can unmute yourself or just type in the chat box also. Okay, Omkar is saying, Vaishnavi is saying, overcome your fears and never give up. Okay, thank you, Vaishnavi. And Pratiksha is saying, don't lose your hope at any situation. Try something, Pratiksha. Thank you, Vaishnavi and Pratiksha. And Bushra Tayyaba raised your hand. Do you have a question? Tushar, was this? So, all right, great. So let's continue with our next slide. And in this slide, I'm going to just briefly tell you what NLP is and how our mind works and how is it related to stress management in our own life. So NLP basically means neuro linguistic programming. And in this, N is for neurons, which are our neurons in our brain. L is for linguistic. So that is the language we use. So this is the language we use to communicate with ourselves, which we call self-talk. And this is the language we use to communicate with other people. And P is for programming. So basically, how are we programming our mind to get the results we want in our life? What are the programs we are writing so that we can get expected results in our life? Like, for example, if somebody is working in IT or software industry, they write different software programs. So they have a specific intention that this particular program must accomplish this task, right? So how do we program our mind? What do we give our mind as an input? That has a big impact on what exactly happens to our life. So this is the basic NLP model. And I'm going to tell you briefly about this model. So in our life, all human beings have 5 different senses. So every second, if we take all of our 5 senses, we are actually there are actually available 2 million bits of info or data, right? So one bit is how much? One bit is actually, you can take it as a letter in any language or a single digit number. That is what one bit is. So through these 5 senses, every second, these many million bits are available. Now, that doesn't mean we actually take all of those in and process those. Our brain does not have the capability to process this much data in such a short period of time. So, our brain very fast at an subconscious level goes through the information, and it immediately categorizes what is important, what is not important. So it keeps putting stuff in our mind, what is good and what is required and what is not needed. So in this model, in this picture, you can see through five senses we get information data in our mind, in our brain, and based on our beliefs, based on our values, all that information is either rejected or stored in our brain. Now think about this. If I am subjecting myself to all negative kinds of data, whether it's I'm watching something, I'm listening something which is not good, which is not useful to achieving my goals, then all those negative things have a direct impact on my internal mental state or my emotional state. And when my emotional state or internal mental state is low or negative, then it has a direct effect on my physiology or on my body language or what I speak or how I speak something, right? So if my internal mental state is not good, is not positive, is not negative, it directly affects my physiology and how I talk and what I talk. So in contrast, if we subject ourselves to all good information, good data, educational videos, you're reading good book, watching a good video, good movie, you are having a meaningful interaction with your friends or colleagues or your family members. So all of that is taken as an input to our mind. And if that is positive, then our internal mental state becomes positive. Now, how is it related to stress? So when our internal mental state is not positive, negative, it naturally creates a situation of stress. And that's how this is related. Now I am going to give you a simple acronym for this to remember. The five senses we have, the acronym for that is VACOG. So it is VAKOG. So V is visual, what we see with our eyes. A is auditory, what we listen. Uh, After that is kinesthetic. Kinesthetic is, it has two parts. One is through our body and skin. What do we feel as touch? For example, now you may be sitting on a chair, you may be sitting on a sofa, I am sitting on a chair. So the sense of touch, that is the first part of kinesthetic. The second part of kinesthetic is how you feel in your mind or how you feel in your heart. That is the second part of kinesthetic. And the next two are olfactory, which is sense of smell. And the last one is gustatory, which is sense of taste. So we are going to mainly look at the VAK model because that is more important. Even though you are getting input through all of different senses, other two senses also, sense of smell and sense of taste also. So this is the basic model on whatever we are going to put in our mind. If I'm putting garbage in, it's going to come out as garbage. If I'm going to put good things, positive things in, it's going to come out as positive things. So we'll go to the next slide. Here, why this NLP model is important in stress management is that there are basically two things when it comes to stress management. One is either I have a past experience, past event, or past memory that is somehow unpleasant or negative in nature. And if I recall it, that experience itself is unpleasant for me. So, for example, if I go, let's say 2 years ago, I went to climb a mountain with my friend, and at that time I had a unpleasant experience, right? Something uncomfortable. So let's say last week, I again went to a similar different mountain with another friend. So that memory can come back to me because it is stored in our mind. So how do we deal with this? So I'm going to tell you a real story that happened. So one time there was a college student, and he was in the college, and in his college he had a girlfriend. So they were good friends, and they were meeting, and they were having good time. So one day, suddenly the girlfriend comes, calls him up and says, I don't want to talk with you anymore. And she immediately hangs up the phone. So after that, this student who is in college, he's getting very stressed that how come she didn't tell me the reason? Why is she not talking to me? This is not right. This is not fair to me. So then for 2 years, he's in this stressful situation, right? So finally, he decides to go to a life coach or career counselor, right? So he says, I have a problem. So the career counselor asks him, tell me, what is your challenge? So he tells him that, this is what happened. And she left me 2 years ago. And then I keep thinking about this every day. It's stressful situation in my life. So the counselor tells that student that, okay, I understand your situation, and let me help you in this case. So what he does is the counselor opens up his laptop, and he has an audio clip of a old Hindi song. So he starts playing that clip, right? So he plays that clip. It's a song, Dheere Dheere Chal Chand Gagan Mein. So he plays that clip for 7 seconds, and then he immediately pauses that and again goes back and plays the same clip again. So he keeps playing that clip again and again, 3 4 times, and then the college student, he says, oh, what are you doing? Why are you replaying this again and again? So the counselor says, hold on, you have come for counseling, so I have a method. Let me work on it. You need to listen to this for 17 times. So the student says, okay. So the counselor keeps playing that audio clip for 7 seconds. He pauses it and he replays it again and again and again. So he does it 5 times, 8 times, 10 times, 15 times. And then the boy says, oh, stop. What are you doing? What are you doing is extremely, it's irritating me. So please stop it right now. That's what the boy says. Then the counselor, he asks to this college student, now tell me, what are you doing? What were you doing for last 2 years? Then suddenly the boy realizes that he has been playing that tape again and again in his mind, that, oh, she didn't call me, she didn't give me a reason, this is not right, this is not fair, she shouldn't have done that. So there are two important points here to note. One is the counselor is teaching this person through an example, right? So what happens is, the way our brain works is that our brain is always going to compare when there are more than one things available, when there are more than one options available. Our brain always is going to compare. So this person, this college student, is now comparing, oh, okay, I got irritated with hearing the same audio clip for 17 times. So I compare that with my own life. For 2 years, I have been thinking about the same thing for no use. I don't even know where that girl is, right? So he compares, and then he has a self-realization. Okay, so friends, remember, self-realization.
Hello, sir. Mayur, sir. Hello. Yes, I think he is disconnected. I think voice also and video is also not playing.
I think connectivity issue is there.
Yeah, I think. Hello, sir. Mayur, sir. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, okay. So were you able to hear the story I was
Story till he got annoyed. We heard till there.
okay, 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 okay. So I'll just share that screen and continue from that point. Let me
Yeah.
share that screen again here. Okay, so can you see the screen, Praveen sir?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, so I'll just continue. So that person or that college student, he, after the counselor played that tape again and again for like 15 times, 17 times, uh, he got so annoyed and he said, the counselor, I mean, please stop. What are you doing? I mean, it's irritating me. It's very annoying that you're replaying this tape again and again. So now the counselor, he stops and he asks the college student a question that, now think about, in last 2 years, what were you doing? In last 2 years, what were you doing? He just asks a simple question. So the student now thinks about what he was doing. He was doing the exact same thing. He was playing that tape again and again. He was saying, this is not fair to me. She shouldn't have done that. She didn't give me a reason. This is not right. He was playing the tape again and again and again. So here we have two important points to learn. One is the counselor is teaching the student through an example. See, what happens is our brain has naturally, when it sees more than two things or more than one options, it naturally compares, which one is better. So the moment the college student sees that example, he compares that example with his own life. That, oh yes, I was doing the exact same thing. I was just thinking about it without any reason, without any fruits, or without even any benefit to me. It was just draining experience for me. So here we learn that we do not have control over everything in life. In his case, the girl may have, moved on to a new city, new country, married to somebody, and moved on in her life, right? So he doesn't know that, but he doesn't have control over that. But friends, remember, even though you don't have control over everything that happens around you, that happens in your environment, you do always have a choice. You do always have the freedom and power to choose your response. So this reminds me of a quote by Stephen Covey, who wrote the popular book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that book, there is a quote, and that says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lie our freedom and power to choose our response. So in that space lie our freedom and power to make a choice. So in any situation, you have the control. In any situation, you have the ability as a human being to be in control, to be in charge. So I am here today to tell you that you are in charge. You can make things happen for you. So the second point in NLP is about future. We talked about the past, now we talk about the future. So about a future, whenever somebody says, I am stressed about the future, I am afraid of the future, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. So that is called anxiety. Now, for example, some of the college students, they may be in their last year, they may be finishing their college. And one of the questions can be, what happens if I don't get a job? Or what happens if there are no jobs available in the market in my industry post COVID-19 situation? Or another question may be, what happens if I don't have enough skills? So remember, friends, all of these questions, these are, you're giving yourself an input, okay? And whatever input you're giving yourself, it's going to decide your internal mental state, and your action and behaviors are going to come out from that internal mental state. So So here, I'll give you a simple trick. Whenever you are faced with such questions, what happens if I don't get a job, right? So I'm going to ask you, how can you change this question so it becomes a positive and inspirational question? Because if you see in all these questions, what happens if I don't, there is a negative connotation in these questions. I don't, there are no jobs, and I don't have enough skills, right? So how can you change this question so it is inspirational and positive? So for first question, we can say, what happens if I don't get a job, right? So we can say, what are my best options to find the job that I really want, right? What are the best methods I can use to find the job that I want? Second question is, what happens if there are no jobs available, right? So here you can turn the question into, let me research and talk to few people in the industry and see what are those skills that are in high demand right now, right? You just change the question and it changes the thinking. It changes the direction of your thinking, right? The last question, what happens if I don't have enough skills? So you can change this question by saying, what kind of skills are really going to be required in next 6 months to 1 year to 2 years? Let me understand that, right? So your action becomes clear depending on your questions. So this is the type of questions we ask ourselves is very important. Next, I'm going to quickly share with you how we learn anything, whether it is some kind of technical skill or ability, or whether it is some kind of non-technical skill. What are the basic steps? So we all go through these 4 steps, right? So very first is called unconscious incompetence. So I'm going to give you a quick example, right? So let's say all of us have learned to ride a bicycle and two-wheelers in our lives, right? And then let's say you're a college student or working and you use your two-wheeler to go to college or go to your office. Now, the question about car has never come, never came up. So now, if you look at this situation, you are comfortable with two-wheeler. So at that time, there is no car is not even in your radar. It's you are unaware that car is required, right? So that is unconscious incompetence. The second stage comes that you are now, starting a new job or you are promoted. So you are going to need a car to commute. So then you are moving from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. So conscious meaning you are conscious, you are aware, you know that you want to learn car, but right now you are incompetent. You don't have the skills or abilities. So then what you do? Then what you do is you either go to a driving school, you ask your friends or family members that can you teach me how to drive, right? So the trainer or the teacher, they start teaching you, right? This is how you start the engine, this is how you press the clutch, this is how you change the gear, and they give you all the details and step-by-step instructions, and you start to follow those instructions slowly and slowly. Every day you do some new thing, every day you learn something new. So here you are at the conscious competence stage. So you are building you're building your competence of driving a car, right? And then you do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you go to your driving test and you get your license, right? And then after that, you drive the car, and then 2 months after you got your license, let's say you want to go to college or office in your car. What do? You you just take the car keys, you go into the car, and without your knowledge, you're just driving already. You're already in the third gear, right? So what happens is you have already reached the unconscious competence stage or state of learning, because all the programs, all the instructions, skills, abilities have been programmed by 2 things: by the knowledge of what to do, how to do it, what sequence to do it in, and actual practice. You do it for 7 days, 15 days, 1 month. So that program is so set in your mind that it simply automatically happens, right? This is a car example. Same example can be for simple like toothbrushing or learning any new skill, learning a musical instrument, learning to use a new software, right? So initially we need to invest that time to learn the new knowledge, the new methods, the new tools. So in stress management is also the same thing, that we need to develop that ability. We need to learn new methods and techniques. So this is the model by which we learn. So at this point, I would like to open this up for everybody and just start thinking about in your life, what are the different sources or triggers of stress in your life? And we are just going to open up this question to everybody. And whatever you think are the sources that cause you to be stressful, you can unmute yourself or you can just type in your chat box, whichever is convenient for you. You can do that. Whatever you think are the sources or triggers. Is it college related? Is it work related? Is it uh, family, friends related? Okay, so we have somebody saying, okay, Onkar is saying college related. Thank you, Onkar. Vaishnavi is saying exams, deadline of project, performing on stage, peer pressure of relatives. Pratiksha is saying loss of job. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pratiksha, Vaishnavi, and Onkar. Those are good reasons. And Onkar also is saying like exam situations or limited time frame for work. Okay, okay. Those are also all good answers. Okay, thank you for your feedback and answers. So I'm just going to give you a few guidelines on what are the different sources or triggers of stress in our life. So we are basically pressurized from 4 different factors. We talked about the past negative memories. Then we talked about pressure of future, which is anxiety. We talked, the third point is internal pressure. Now, internal pressure is our internal negative thoughts or negative thinking, negative feelings. All of these things create internal pressure. Now, I will give you an example. So, if you take a pressure cooker, right? If you are running a pressure cooker, and if the steam pressure inside the pressure cooker gets too high, then what happens? So if it goes, if the steam pressure inside the cooker goes beyond a certain threshold, beyond a certain point, then the whistle, let's assume that the whistle, regular whistle is blocked or jammed, right? So what's going to happen in that case is that the safety valve that is provided on that cooker is going to open up, and it's going to quickly release the lot of pressure of steam inside the pressure cooker. So like we have a safety valve given on the pressure cooker, in our life there is no safety valve for such things as emotions or stressful situations. The difference is that we have to take active role, we have to take active part, we have to make a conscious effort to understand what situation am I really in, and how do I come out from this uncomfortable situation. Okay, so we have to have an active role and part in this stress management process. And then lastly, we have external factors. These may be government rules and regulations, these may be market conditions, these may be economy of your city, country, state, different things going on in the market that you have absolutely no control over. You don't have any control over that, right? So all these things create some kind of pressure. And I'm going to tell you quick specific things about triggers, right? So why is it important to know the triggers or sources of your stress? Is that only when you know the triggers or sources, only then you can address those things one by one, right? So here the first can be environmental, right? So the place where you work, the place where you actually do your studies, is that place organized, is that place disorganized, is it cluttered, how is the lighting, temperatures, pollution. These are the environmental factors that can be sources of your stress. Second can be interpersonal. Second can be interpersonal, can be human relationships, with friends, with family, with other people. These can be interpersonal. Third can be physiological, lack of sleep, lack of proper rest and relaxation, poor nutrition, or injury, right? So these are few guidelines. So if you want to categorize your triggers or sources of stress, you can do that in, maybe it's a work related category is one, family is one, friends is another, your money or finances is another, your social interactions is another, and your health is another. Now based on these guidelines, what do you think is uh, some of the specific triggers for you? Now few of you have already mentioned, is there anybody else who wants to share anything else as a trigger for creating a stressful situation for your life? If you have anything, please share in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself. If you have anything, do it, or we'll continue to the next slide. We'll just wait for 1 minute. Uh, okay, so we'll just move to the next slide. Now we come to the important aspect of today's webinar: stress prevention and reduction techniques. Now, as we discussed before, that there are two parts to stress management. One is a stress prevention, and second is a stress reduction or management activity, right? So the very first thing I want to tell you in your life or career about stress prevention is that you need to have a crystal clear picture about your life and about your career. You need to have specific goals set for your career as well as your personal life. Until there is clarity, there will be a lot of confusion and there will be stress in your life. So you need to have crystal clear clarity about your goals. So one of the best ways to set any goal is do a SMART goal setting activity. So here we can see SMART: S is specific, M is measurable, something that you can measure, A is actionable, where you can have an action plan for that goal, R is realistic and relevant, and T is for time bound. So let's say I'll give an example. Let's say somebody comes to me and says, hey, I have a goal in my life. So I ask him, what is your goal? Then he says, I want to attend Olympics. So I ask him, okay, you want to attend Olympics? I'm not sure I've understood you. What do you mean you want to attend? You want to participate as an athlete in a sport, or you want to be a spectator? What exactly do you want? So see here, the goal is not clear. So I ask him, can you please go back, rethink your goal, and come back with a SMART goal? So the person goes back, thinks about it, and he comes out with a uh, new goal or SMART goal. So this is his new goal. He says, I want to I want to win a gold medal in 200-meter men's freestyle swimming in Rio Olympics in 2025, right? So that is now a SMART goal. Why? Because it is specific. Number one, it gives the specifics. Uh, It is about swimming, it is about men's swimming, it is about 200 meters, it is freestyle, right? It's specific and measurable. He wants to win gold medal, so it is measurable, you can measure it, right? Gold, silver, bronze, you can measure it. Next, actionable, you need to have action plan to achieve that goal. Next is realistic, and last one is time bound. Time bound here in this goal is 2025. It's a specific time period, right? By that time, I want to win the gold medal in that Rio Olympics in 2025. So that is very, very important. So goal setting for your career as well as your own personal life is very, very critical because it will give you peace of mind. It will give you clarity that, oh, I have my future planned. I have my 1 year absolutely planned. It doesn't mean the plan cannot change. You always need to be flexible about changing the plan, but you at least have the clarity that what do I want to achieve in 1 year from today. So we need to have crystal clarity about our goals. The second important aspect about stress prevention or reduction is your physical exercise daily, regularly. It does couple of good things to yourself, right? It improves your body's ability to use oxygen that you breathe in. It also helps your body to fight well with stress when you are in that situation, and it has a lot of other benefits when it comes to physical exercise. So a daily routine of physical exercise is an important aspect of proper stress management. Next is your nutrition. You know, what type of food are you eating from the moment you wake up, and your breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, whatever you eat, what type of food are you eating? Is it a balanced healthy food? What is the frequency at which you are eating, right? uh, are you paying attention? What is your state of mind when you are actually eating your food? Because if your state of mind is not right when you eat food, your food will not be digested properly. So it's important to follow that rule. Proper nutrition. Next important aspect in your stress management is proper rest and relaxation, right? So our body is designed by nature to do certain things in 24-hour period, and then our body is designed that it needs that particular rest, so it is refreshed again to start doing new activities, next activities from the next day. So like we all sleep for certain number of hours every day, right? In your day schedule, whether you are in college working on projects or classes, or you're working, in your day schedule, make sure you are giving yourself proper breaks. That is very, very important, because if we do not give proper breaks to ourselves, then what happens is the stress level, let's say 9 o'clock I start my work, and 12 o'clock I'm still working, 1:30 I'm still working, I just don't have any break. So what happens is 11 o'clock is I have little stress, then 1 o'clock my stress level is little bit increased because I haven't taken a break. 3 o'clock my stress level is even higher, and then 7 o'clock my stress level is too much. I feel like I'm totally exhausted, burnt out, right? So to avoid that, to prevent that burnout at the end of the day, you need to schedule small amount of breaks. It may be 5 minute, 10-minute break. It doesn't have to be long, but you need to give your mind and your body that rest needed in your daily schedule. So that is important. So let's look at few more techniques, right? So another technique I tell all my clients and wherever I go for training is, whenever you are done with your day, right, at the end of your day, just take out 5 to 10 minutes for yourself, and in those 5 to 10 minutes, just run through your day. Just simply run through your day. You don't have to assess anything. You don't have to judge anything. You just simply run through your day. Morning, what happened? Afternoon, what happened? Evening, what happened? What was good about that? What was my stress level? How did I handle that? How did my overall day go? So I will tell you with guarantee that if you do this exercise for 15 days every day, it will increase your awareness to amazing new heights. It will increase your awareness. And friends, remember something that you cannot measure, you cannot improve, right? So if you measure how your day was, automatically that information goes to your subconscious mind and it keeps working on improving yourself daily on a daily basis. So just have awareness of how was your day, how did you do throughout your day. That is one strategy. Next important aspect is, whenever we are involved in conversations or interactions with other people, we need to practice responding rather than reacting, right? So what is reacting? If for example, let's say I'm having a conversation with my friend or with my colleague. So reaction is an unconscious process. It happens automatically. It happens without your knowledge. It just happens automatically, right? So, and responding on the in the contrary is an is a conscious process. Meaning, first you need to be aware of what is happening inside you and what is the other person telling you. First, you need to be aware of that. Second, you need to also understand how you feel about this whole situation, about this conversation. After that, you want to decide how you want to exactly respond and act. And then you actually go and act, right? So, for example, if someone interrupts you and says, I asked you for this report and you did not give me that, and you immediately get irritated and tell him to go away. This is one way of one reaction that you can do. But on the other side, what you can also do is you can hit the pause button, think about the situation, and tell that person that, okay, I understand, you are not happy with this report. I'm working on something else right now. Can I give you this report in 30 minutes? Okay. So this is a second way of responding in particular situations. Another important aspect of stress management is find a support system, right? So this may be your friends, this may be your colleagues, this may be some of your family members. So somebody, you need to have few good, very close friends with you, with whom you can share your experiences, with whom you can share your thoughts and feelings. Because remember, emotion is ultimately energy in motion, right? So if that emotion, if it is a negative emotion, if we assume that, then somehow it needs to come out of our body. Okay, come out of our body, come out of our system. Then only we are going to feel relaxed and relieved, from that situation. So it's important to have that support system of friends and family. Another important aspect is completing your work, whether you are in college doing your projects or working in your office. Any incomplete work or any unanswered question is a major source of stress. So please remember that. So anytime you think something is incomplete, something is not done yet, or you have an unanswered question about your work, about your career, about your personal life, that is going to use up your energy. So it's very important to identify what that thing is and work on that. Complete that work, have a plan ready to complete it, and then finish that work. And if you have unanswered questions, try to find those answers. The next aspect I want to tell you is about developing your own emotional intelligence, right? So emotional intelligence is basically our ability to understand our own emotions, to become aware of our own emotions. After understanding, to have the ability to control our emotions, and after that, the ability to express our emotions to other people. After that comes understanding other people's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships very well. So these are five different aspects of emotional intelligence. So how this is useful in stress management is that, let's say you had an argument or fight with your friend or your colleague yesterday, and that experience is still bothering you, it's still affecting you, right? So unless and until you address that experience somehow, unless and until you address those negative emotions somehow, you're going to continue to feel that way. So you need to develop that ability, be comfortable, be safe to share those experiences, feelings, and thoughts with other people, your close friends, as we just recently talked about. So that is the so expressing your thoughts and feelings at the right time. If you don't do it at the right time, it's going to slowly and slowly build up in your system. And the last, I'm going to give you a CRA technique of stress management. See, CRA basically means C is for change, R is for remove, A is for accept, right? So change, you take an example of any situation. Let's say you're discussing something with your friends, right? Or your colleagues or your students in college, and they're talking about something, negative that you don't feel comfortable with. You think it's not going to be helpful to you, that conversation, right? So now the first question you need to ask yourself is, can you change the situation, or can you change the people, or can you change the topic that they are discussing? Is it possible? Do you have the control over that? If the answer to this question is yes, then go ahead and talk with them, tell them what you think. But if that doesn't work, then we move on to the next method, which is R. R is for remove, removing yourself from the situation, right? So if you cannot change the outside situation, can you physically remove yourself from that situation? You just go, you said, I don't think I'm getting anything here, this is not interesting for me, so I'm going to go do my own work, I am going to work on my priorities, right? So remove physically yourself from the situation. Now, it may be possible certain times to remove yourself physically. At other times, it may be not possible. For example, you're doing a group project in your college, or you are working in a team of 6 people in your office, right? You are working, you have to work together, but you still have some challenges. So that's when the third technique, the third letter A, comes in. So A is for accept, right? So C doesn't work. Changing situation, I cannot change that. Removing is not going to work because I need to work together with my other team. So A is for accept. So first you need to accept that I cannot change the situation. I cannot physically remove myself from the situation. So after I accept this, then you need to work on your specific abilities to communicate properly with the other team or with your team members, in explaining them what are the challenges and how we can work together to solve this problem and to create a win-win situation for all team members. So in the last letter A, accepting, just accepting doesn't help, because if you still need to work with those people, you need to develop your assertive abilities in your communication. You need to develop influencing skills. You need to also you need to also develop convincing skills, right? Okay, so we have come to the last point of this, and Omkar, he raised his hand. Omkar, do you have a question or a comment? Okay, maybe it was some error. Let me see if there is anything in the chat window. Okay, so
We, I think we nearly finished now, sir. It was still 4:15. Maybe I
okay,
think
yes,
we
sorry.
might get log off, but I think if you click again the same link, we will come in again, I think.
Okay. So after this, I just had a quick stress management exercise that I wanted everybody to go through. So can we start with that? It's a simple activity. Okay, so this activity actually is a stress management activity. It is called PMR. It is called Progressive Muscle Relaxation Activity. And here, what we are going to do is tense and relax different muscle groups to help the muscles see the difference, right? So while doing this activity, if you have any injury, then bypass that part of your body and don't tense too much so you get a cramp. So this is the important points of this exercise. So in this activity, I'm just going to give you some guidelines. So we are going to do a quick body scan. So if you are comfortable, if possible, do this activity. If possible, close your eyes. If it is not possible, it is still okay. So imagine that you have a big ring above your head. It's like a hula hoop, right? And you are going to quickly do a body scan, starting from top of your head to the bottom of your feet. So, and I want everybody to just run this scan quickly and see, are there any parts of your body where you feel any pressure, any tension, any pain, any stress? So quickly go through top of your head, through your face, your neck, your shoulders, your upper back, lower back, stomach, then lower part of your body, your thighs, your calves, and your lower part of feet and legs and feet. And then we are going to do this quickly activity. So we are going to start. If all of you can see me, and before we start this activity, I want all of you to rate uh, the tension level or stress level that you feel in your body, wherever you feel that, on a scale of 1 to 10, which is 10 being, highly stressed and 1 is like extremely relaxed. So just rate yourself in that range. And if possible, close your eyes, few deep breaths. And we are going to just start with our hands first. You're going to bring both of your hands in front of you like this. And you're going to fold your hands at your elbow. You're just going to tense up, tighten up your hands and arms and feel that tension. So I'm going to say start. So tense in your hands and slowly relax. And slowly breathe in and breathe out. And we are going to do it again. So we are just teaching our muscles the difference between tension and relaxation. So tense your hands and then slowly relax. So we're just teaching our hands to relax. Next, we go to our neck. We are going to bring our neck close to our ears, and we are going to just tense, and then slowly bring back the shoulders. Relax. Again, one more time. We are going to bring the shoulders up, tense, and slowly relax. So do this very slowly and carefully. We are just teaching our muscles the difference between tension and relaxation. So we are going to do it with our face now. You're going to do it on your with your eyes, your jaw. Tense, 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 and relax slowly. One more time. Tense, 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 and relax. And next, we are going to do your hands and arms in a different way. You are going to spread your fingers wide open, and you're going to tighten those and say tense, tense, tense your fingers of your hands, and then slowly relax. Again, you are going to do tense, 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 and then slowly relax. Then we are going to work on our stomach and lower back. So we are going to bring our belly button into our spine. Take your stomach in and feel the tension in your stomach and lower back. Tense, 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 and slowly relax. Do it one more time. Bring the belly button to your spine. Tighten up your stomach and lower back and slowly relax. So now these muscles are learning the difference between the tension and relaxation. Now we go to the lower part of our body, our thighs, our calves, and our feet. So we are going to you're going to lift your heels, press on your toes, and bring both of your legs towards each other and tighten them up and feel the tension slowly. Tense, 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 and slowly relax. And we'll do it one more time. Again, lower part of body tense, 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 and slowly relax. And if you have your eyes closed, you can just slowly open your eyes. You can slowly open your eyes and continue to breathe in and breathe out. This slow breathing, with this slow breathing and with this exercise, your forehead, your neck, and shoulders are feeling more and more relaxed. As you're breathing in and breathing out, your face, your jaw has also become more and more relaxed. Continue to breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly. Your neck, your upper back, your lower back has also now relaxed. And your lower part of your body, which is your thighs, legs, calves, and feet, those have also become relaxed. Now, slowly bring back your attention into the room. And if you have your eyes closed, you can open your eyes and just move your hand and body a little bit to come out of that state. And I would like you to rate your stress level now. Before activity, what was your stress level and what is it now? So Onkar is saying 6 was his stress level. So Onkar, if you did this exercise, where are you feeling your stress level now? Give me a number. So we are coming to the end of this session webinar. So anybody wants to share in chat? Okay, Onkar saying it went from 6 to 3. Okay, that's great to hear, Onkar. Praveen says it was 8. It is now 3. Okay, great, Praveen sir. Anybody else wants to share their stress levels? And if not, we can open this session up for any questions or any comments that anybody uh, from participants have, or Praveen sir, if you have any questions or comments you want to make. Pratiksha is saying it was okay, informative. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Pratiksha. And please also wait for a few minutes. I'm going to talk about the last point about the gifts after the question and answer session. Okay. So Pratiksha says she has one question. Yeah, Pratiksha, go ahead. You can type in or you can speak up.
I think she's typing the
Pratiksha,
question. Yeah.
okay. So she's saying,
How
okay.
to?
So Pratiksha, her question is how to remove negative thoughts from mind. Okay. That's a excellent question, Pratiksha. So what we discussed today was, about 1 hour of some information knowledge that I shared with you. Uh, when it comes to negative feelings or thoughts that you have in your mind, the very first thing that we talked about today is in emotional intelligence, becoming emotionally intelligent. The very first thing is becoming aware. Okay, awareness is of supreme importance. So we first need to negative feeling. The second step I suggest you doing is immediately name that feeling. Whatever feeling you're feeling, right? Whatever emotion that is, immediately give it a name. Identify that feeling with something. And the third thing you want to do is ask yourself a question, because uh, all of us all the time, lot many times we go in searching for answers, but before finding answers we need to ask ourselves good questions. So first, you know that you are aware that you are feeling such a way from such and such experience. You have given the emotion a name, you have identified that. Next, think about how you can address it, right? So addressing, as I discussed before, emotion is energy in motion. So few techniques that we have just today discussed. uh, if it is for I'm just going to take an arbitrary example. Let's say this is about an relationship with, your friend or somebody, right? So maybe you had a conversation with him and that is an unpleasant conversation you had. So how you can address that? See, what happens is, as I told you, in NLP we have these 5 different senses. So the thing that creates stress is we keep having those things in our mind. So first identify whether you are having a visual pictures in your mind about that experience, or are you hearing something. Are you hearing an experience or a conversation you had with, somebody else yesterday? What exactly is that? What category it is? So first categorize that, and then determine how you are going to address it, right? So one of the things is that, as we discussed in previous slides, is that if you have some good friends, sharing just this simple experience is also a very stress relieving activity, right? So initially it is possible, it is natural that you may not feel comfortable doing that. You maybe feel afraid, or might think, if I share this with this person, what will he or she think? So initially we have this, but we have to just simply overcome and do it. So start doing that. When you start doing that, it will build your confidence slowly and gradually. So sharing is an important aspect. And as we also mentioned, uh, the input we give to ourselves determines our internal mental state. So if you are having some negative, thoughts or feelings, try to change the focus to something positive, right? This may be a temporary solution. This may not be a permanent solution. This may be a temporary solution. Somehow expressing that to the person involved, or expressing it to a good friend of yours. Because as we discussed today, all things, all situations are not in our control. I may have had a fight with my friend 1 year ago, right? If I keep those things in my mind, that friend may not be here. He may be in a different country. I may not I may not be even be able to contact my friend to talk with him, right? So things change, situation change. So you need to find some support system, some friends, some family members who can just listen to you, because listening is also very helpful and therapeutic for the person who is sharing their problems and concerns of their life. So Pratiksha, I hope I answered your question somehow. Are there Onkar saying very informative session? Thank you. Okay. Okay, great. Pratiksha, she is happy with the answer. Anybody else? Any other questions?
I got couple of questions, sir.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
So like you mentioned about stress and how we can actually with using NLP we can manage them. So my question is about
Uh-huh.
anger management. So like when
Okay.
there is a stress is happening, we leads to somewhere in the angry situation. So how can we
Correct. Correct.
actually manage anger as well, or can we manage anger as well from with using NLP? Because it's a
Correct. Correct.
the time period is very like when the stress is there you get angry and then you react. So the time period is
Correct. Correct.
very
Correct.
less. So how we can do that? I mean, how can the NLP help?
Right. 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 Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's a very good question, Praveen sir. So whenever we say anger management,
Mhm.
ultimately what happens is before we get angry, there is always an underlying feeling. There is always some underlying emotion that has happened. For example, I get angry with my customer, for example, or the customer gets angry with me. So there is some underlying reason that I may not have responded to my customer in time. That's why he got angry and send me a bad email or something. So first of all, we need to understand that underlying emotion, whether it's your own or somebody else's, and always try to address that underlying emotion first, right? Because you may have heard about that what you call the big ice mountain, right? Uh, uh, we see only 10% of that mountain and all iceberg, and then the 90% of that big ice mountain is actually under the water, which we don't easily see. So understand the underlying situation or your feelings, and then, as we discussed recently, is becoming aware is the very first step. And uh, then once you start to develop these 5 different abilities in emotional intelligence, and slowly and gradually you can build on uh, your emotional intelligence level, right? And I recall a quote from Gautam Buddha, right, about anger. So he says, anger is like having hot charcoal in your hand and also wanting it to throw at somebody else, right? So whenever we feel angry, yes, granted that there is a reason for you to become angry, but anger is a negative emotion like other negative emotions. It is going to hurt us more first before it can hurt somebody else, right? So I know that in that specific time period or duration, the time you may not have a lot of time. So in that, just becoming aware, and I have found personally through experience that uh, just focusing, shifting my attention to my breathing in such stressful situations. It may be anger, it may be hurt, it may be jealousy, it may be any negative feeling. Just for a few moments, focusing my attention to my breathing uh, immediately gives me some relief. And we have heard this from many different people, that if you focus your attention on your breathing, your awareness is immediately going to increase. So what you can do also in this situation is you can quickly develop some kind of self-talk, that I'm feeling I'm angry, I'm aware I'm angry. How angry am I? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is like I'm extremely angry, I'm furious. So if that is 10, where am I right now? Am I at 8? Am I at 9? Am I at 7? So once you determine that, you immediately get a scale in your mind, and with uh, the maturity and with some practice, you can develop that ability to communicate your message, because when you get angry there is some message that you want to communicate, right? So the important aspect is to understand the difference between if I get angry and shout at somebody else, what is the effect that's going to have, versus if I'm angry and if I become aware and handle the situation more maturely, with more maturity, and assertively tell that person, why I'm really angry, what is my underlying feeling, where am I hurt, what is the real problem. Then in that case the other person is also able to look at you and say, hey, this person is really mature and this person can handle his or her emotions very well. So even the other person will get inspired by you, by following your by the way you have handled this particular situation. So that's what I would say, Praveen sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sure.
Um, I think there is a question from Nilesh.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
says how
okay.
to minimize aggressiveness.
Okay, sure. So Nilesh, how to minimize aggressiveness? Let me ask you a question. Uh, when you say aggressiveness, what exactly do you mean, or can you give a specific instance or situation? Uh, and are you talking about in general, or are you talking about yourself? If you can speak up or type, anything is fine. Demotivate types of people. Okay. So here, do you mean people who are demotivated, how to minimize their aggressiveness?
I think he meant to say like how to not be aggressive to the people who are demoting you.
Correct, correct, correct. How to, okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, got it, got it. Okay. And I get angry, he says. Okay, got it. Okay, Nilesh, got your question. Okay, so it is, if you look at it from this perspective, that uh, probably you are doing some good work, you are in college, or you're working in an office, you are doing good work, and there are some other people that are saying something to you, that are saying something that is demotivating or discouraging for you, right? It is very natural to feel demotivated and get angry. Acknowledge that it is a very natural feeling to have. And here I will give you a couple of things. We talked about few things. If these people are first, ask yourself this question: are these people the people you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, or can you physically remove yourself from such situations? That is first question. If that is possible, you can use that idea to help you. If that is not possible, sometimes it is not possible to remove yourself from such situations. In that case, we all need to develop what is called as assertiveness in our communication, right? Assertiveness is a term, right? That is between being extremely polite and being very aggressive. Okay, so please understand these three different things: being very polite, assertiveness, and then being very aggressive. So when I say assertiveness, that means you are mature enough to understand and become aware that something the other person is saying, it is bothering you in some way. And at the same time, assertiveness also means that you do have the courage and confidence to communicate that thing directly to that person who is bothering you. Okay, so that is something that is a, it falls between being aggressive and also being very polite. Because if somebody is bothering you and we are being polite to them, it's going to eat ourselves up inside, right? So that is not a good thing for anybody, any human being. So in this situation, we don't want to be polite, we don't want to be aggressive, but we need to find uh, the central mean or the golden mean of being assertive. And in assertiveness, you need to develop your communication ability and your confidence both. Because if something is not right, you need to raise your voice and stand up for that, right? So initially you are going to require courage to do that, but once you start doing it, it's going to it's going to build your confidence and courage even more and more. So there is not a simple answer to this question, but you need to develop that confidence, start doing it, and also improve your communication ability. And you can also do some Google search or YouTube search on this topic called how to be assertive. You know, how do you develop assertive abilities in oneself. Right. Let's say what Nilesh is saying. Some people say ignorance is the best solution for such. Okay. Yeah. So ignorance can be a very good strategy in such situation. But you have to understand, if you ignore that person, it shouldn't bother you at all from inside, right? So it is absolutely fine to ignore such people. And I would even go one step further and say, make it clear to them that whatever you are doing or whatever you are saying is not working for me, and I'm not interested in listening to you. Okay, so ignorance is one of the best strategies. Yes. Okay, so Nilesh says thank you. Okay, so Praveen sir, you had
Yeah,
any other question?
I got one more question.
Sure.
So like you mentioned about prevention or reduction of the stress. And
Correct.
you said that you can set a smart goals.
Uh-huh.
Right? So let's, if we take an example of a student who
Correct, correct.
set a smart goal and he decide that he want to become, let's say, engineer, doctor or something, but then the
Right,
parents
right.
expectation is that he should become this. So how that will create a stress relation, isn't it? So how are you going to
Correct, correct,
actually
correct.
deal with that?
Correct, correct, correct.
So
Okay,
like,
okay.
I
So
will
you're
say the
saying
expectation. So parents' expectation from the student or from the son or daughter is to do
correct,
this,
correct,
but the person want to do this. So how?
correct, correct, correct. So this is a very good question. So you're asking from the student's perspective, right?
Yeah,
How the student should handle such situation. Right, right.
yeah,
So see, I mean, we still see in some families that the student wants to follow, one particular field or stream of learning education, and parents wants him or her to go to a different stream or college. So here, one important aspect here is all about, as you said, expectation and the beliefs. Beliefs are the root of these things. Beliefs and values are the roots of our behavior, right? So for example, in this case, the parents belief might be, for example, that if my son becomes an engineer, then he gets, his life is all set, right? That is a belief. So here it is important to identify what exactly the parents beliefs are. What are they believing in is the right thing and what are they believing is the wrong thing. And I am of the opinion that the student should be able to explore and decide for himself or herself which stream he wants to choose. At the same time, parents can be can act as a guide, or parents or other teachers or counselors can act as a guide in that process. But the decision or the exploration or decision must come from the student. Now, as in the case of any human relationships or any interpersonal communication, right? This is a communication between the student and his or her parents, right? So we need to also understand few basics of communication. So in order to have effective communication, a meaningful communication, the student first needs to understand that listening to his or her parents is also a very important and first part of an effective communication, right? Because I'll give you an example. uh, in Mahabharata, as all of you know, in first adhyaya, Lord Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna, Arjun was coming to him with all his questions and thoughts and concerns, right? So at that time, what did Lord Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna did? He only did two things. He listened to Arjuna and then he acknowledged him. So those are the only two things he did in the initial period, in all of those adhyas. So it is very important to make the other person feel listened to and acknowledge that I'm here to listen to you, and I also understand that you want me to go to certain stream. So this is an important aspect of communication. First, listening and acknowledging. Now, here what I was explaining, Nilesh, about the assertive communication. So first, student can use this technique of showing that I'm listening and I'm acknowledging. I'm completely open to discuss this. Show that openness to discuss this topic. That is number one. Now, number two, after you have listened to your parents, and ask them different questions and make them feel completely understood. Okay, that is the first step. Then what happens is, when a human being feels listened to and understood and acknowledged, if his stress level or anger level is high at 8 or 9 initially in the conversation, just by you listening, understanding, and acknowledging, you're reducing their stress level or anger level to a lower level, like let's say 3 or 4. Okay, so that is one benefit. Now, the second important aspect is communication is always a two-way process. So, the way you're listening to your parents, right? The way you're listening, understanding, acknowledging, they get a turn to talk and you were listening. The same time, the same way, you also have the right to speak up your mind, speak up your desires, speak up your goals, speak up your expectations, right? And here, the more preparation you do, the better result is going to bring it for you. Okay. So in any human conversation, right, communication, the person who has more clarity, the person who has more clarity about his goals, his aspirations, his expectations, his strengths, his interest in a particular field, the more clarity, a person having more clarity has a psychological advantage over the other person who has less clarity. So you have to be very clear about your goals, your field of interest. Let's say you like mechanical engineering, right, for example. So also prepare something that tells the other person or the parents in this case, why are you interested in mechanical engineering? Why not other fields of engineering? Why not in commerce? Why not in pharmacy? Why not in arts? be clear about your why, your reasons, about why are you interested. You need to, if you have clear why reasons, I guarantee you it is very convincing to the other people. Okay, you need to be very clear about what you want and why you want it. And you also need to demonstrate that uh, by going to that field, how are you going to become successful. Okay, you need to give them some process, that I have done this research, I have spoken with these people in this field, and there is a good scope for this, field, mechanical engineering, for next 5 to 10 years. So you need to prepare yourself for that conversation, for that meeting. And also, another technique you can use is that ask your parents about what specific concerns do you have if I choose this field, which is mechanical engineering. What are your concerns? Because the decisions and or the behavior always comes from those underlying questions and concerns. So ask those things, ask those questions to your parent. What are your concerns if I go in this stream versus you want me to go in medical school, medical college? So this is how I would say a student can prepare. Like students prepare for exams and projects, everything, right? So to prepare yourself for a conversation is also very, very important.
Very good. Yes. Yes, I think. Thank you for the answer. I think it was a good explanation. Uh, is there any question
Okay.
from participant before closing, or I think you got some surprise as well?
Yeah, sure, sure. So yeah, we don't have any chats. Okay, so
No.
let me see. I was also monitoring during our session about who was actually, I think it was a good group. There were many people who interacted, shared their feedback, questions, and also comments in that. So let me look in my notes. I have Onkar, Pratiksha, Nilesh, and one more person was there.
Vaishnavi,
Vaishnavi, right? Right. So Onkar, Vaishnavi, Nilesh, and I think
Pratiksha.
4 people. So Pratiksha, correct, correct. So these 4 participants, I think you have done a great job, because more you participate, more you engage, more you are going to learn. And the gift that I have for 4 of you is that I have launched in last 1 month a video course app. And in that video course app, I have different courses. Some of the courses are for college students and freshers about how to conduct your job search. And in one big video course, I have total 15 videos and lot of reference materials and documents to read. So through my app, through for these 4 participants, I want to gift that one particular course for freshers, which is called Get a Job Fast. And I will be sharing all the details with you. So, Praveen sir, is it possible to get their contact information so I can
Yeah,
share
yeah,
that with them?
yeah, sure.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, sure, sure. Okay. So, to 4 of you, I congratulate you. I will share that you will just need to download and install my app, and I will give you that course to access. And if you want to purchase any additional course to 4 of you, uh, the gift is that you will get whatever course is there at a 50% discount. And for the rest of the participants also, if you go and if you want to purchase any of the courses in my app, there are total like 9 different video courses. Those are about job search, how to become an entrepreneur, how to work on your personal growth, and how to do your SWOT analysis. So I have different courses. So for the rest of the participants, I think we had like maybe 6 or 7. I will offer a 50% discount to rest of the participants. And then I'll take all of your contact information from Praveen sir, and I will be sharing that information about the gifts to you soon via either it's WhatsApp message or SMS or email. Most probably I'll do it via a WhatsApp message.
So I think the easiest way will be I have already shared Facebook group link to all of them.
Uh-huh.
So
Correct,
if
correct.
they are in the Facebook group, they can actually interact with you directly that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we already
Okay,
got
okay.
a group for this webinar series. We have prepared one group, and I actually sharing that link to everyone whenever I send the email reminder. So that way, whoever is attending this webinar, they are already in the group. That's what I think so. But if they are not there, I'm just sharing the link. They can join the group, and we can put the things there.
Right. Yeah, they can do share your numbers with me, and I'll directly
Yeah,
get
so
in
there
touch
will
with you.
be like numbers can be there. Means I already got a list, so that also I can share with you, and that way you can contact them, or they will download the app.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Okay. All right.
So
That
I
will be
think
great. Okay.
great. Yeah. So thank you, sir. I think it was only for 1 hour time, but I think you spend your another 1 hour, so it went to like nearly 2 hours now.
Okay. Right.
Thanks,
Correct.
thanks for giving us time and giving us this knowledge about NLP and stress management. It will be really helpful for us and
Yeah.
also for the students. We got a group, and we will be
Sure.
sharing things there as well. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, it was very great to have this session. Again, Praveen sir, thank you very much
Thanks.
for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you later then.
Yeah. See you. Thanks
Okay.
all for sharing your and giving us some time, and spending your time. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.